Perfect. Perfect. Well, but we have 22 months to make it happen. So we got we don't have it all in favor. Okay, I'm just gonna get. Thank you. I call this regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order Monday, September 26th, 2022 at 6 o'clock p.m. Can we get a roll call, please?
Brian Hilton,
Here.
Lauren Benton, Dave Nielsen,
Here.
Jason Sampson,
Here.
Steve Skaggs,
Here.
Sandy Eric. Here.
First item is approval of the agenda. I know, everybody's in different spots. Any discussion? Seeing none, council, please vote.
Minutes. Okay, that's great.
Now you can vote.
I'm in a new position here. I'm not
There you
used
go.
to this.
Okay, agenda is approved, which takes us into the public hearings. The first one is proposal to amend city code for beekeeping, so we'll go ahead and open that public hearing. We did receive one email in support of the ordinance, so I can pass that around to see that.
Also, I know that I was going to be taking out number 5, which is the barrier consisting of the fence.
So in the public hearing, do we have anyone here to speak on behalf of the beekeeping ordinance?
I also did receive a email for as well.
Please state your name and address for the record, and you can address the council.
I'm Lance Linderman, our address is 418 Street. I'm glad that we were able to have these for 2 years now. Happy to continue doing that. And I'm also kind of glad you guys got rid of that 6-foot fence thing. So I think that was necessary. And if possible, I would like possible change with the water source. Because I don't think that should be a problem in there. But that can be further discussed. The reason I don't think that would be necessary is because just like the creek that runs through Nevada, and most everybody in Nevada, we should be able to fly to there and get water fine. It shouldn't be any concern because the beach fly up to 2 miles if they need to get water. I just don't think it was necessary. Other than that, I'm glad that you guys changed.
Anyone else care to speak in the public hearing regarding these? Okay, then we'll close the public hearing, which moves us to ordinance number 1034, 2022-2023. An ordinance amending chapter 55 of the city code of ordinances of Nevada, Iowa, 2022 to allow keeping of bees in the city first reading. Move approved. Second. Yes, and Steve. Any discussion other than Jordan's comment about the barrier?
It's not it's not definitely not a legal requirement. I think that around now the universities have made for that is to keep them as local as they can in their lives. There's no legal.
So we could strike number 4.
Good.
Or and then he just said about, and I was gonna ask about 5, do the 6-foot fence. Is that what you were talking about, Scott?
Yeah, take them out on that as well.
4 and 5. So we can just, is that just, make a motion for that, or just gotta just?
Oh, you can make a motion to approve this one on that. We have that it's the update is one of us, and that new updated form will be on the next council.
We have a motion and second on the table. Just want to amend your motion with that change and see that.
I would. I respect it.
Under discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. It is approved to take the, to public hearing B, proposal to add 9 days of property. We'll open the public hearing. Did we receive any written or oral comment? Is there anyone here to speak in the public hearing about the vacant property ordinance? And then we'll close the public hearing, move to ordinance number 1035, 2022, 2023. An ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Nevada, Iowa, 2005 by adding chapter 159 vacant property to establish a vacant property code registration and maintenance program for free. Second. Barb and everybody. See.
I think it's Brian.
Any discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. Thank you for working on that.
How long we've been working on that thing, huh? No, due diligence is very amazing. It's the staff for that.
That is approved, which takes us to the consent agenda. Any item that you remove for separate consideration?
Move to approve. Second.
Gary, I'll give us any discussion? Seeing none, council please vote.
But. So. Those changes that are.
Let's see what we can look at. Consent?
Okay, all right. That is approved. Which takes us into the public forum. It's time set aside for comments from the public on topics of the city business other than those with on the agenda. No action may be taken. And there is a proclamation in your packet, for it would be Watershed Awareness Month for October 2022. So it's one of the done every year. So we'll be signing that and then get it out to the public. Is there anyone here to speak in the public forum this time? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public forum, which moves us into old business. Old business A is ordinance number 1029, 2022, 2023. An ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of Nevada, Iowa by rezoning the property at 640 South 19th Street Outlet A from AR Agricultural Residential Reserve District to R4 Multiple Family Dwelling District. Third and final reading.
Third.
James, Jason. Any discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. We're discussing tonight, Karen. Okay, that is approved. Which takes us to B, ordinance number 1030, 2022, 2023. An ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Nevada, Iowa, 2006 by amending provisions pertaining to sewer user charges, chapter 99, third and final reading. Move to approve.
Second.
Steve and Sandy. Discussion. Seeing none, council, please vote. Okay, that is approved. Which takes us to D, ordinance number 1031, 2022, 2023. An ordinance regarding proposed modified chapter 77 pertaining to golf carts, second reading.
And before you move, I have a change to propose on this. 7706 talks about the street language. In speaking, Larry and Stevens and I were kind of looking at some maps on another thing, and he was saying that when you look at the DOT actual registered maps, the only primary roadway is US 30. So, the proposal would be to strike the last sentence that designates Lincoln Way Highway unless 18 to 19, and just leave it with the first sentence. Because the primary road extension then would defer to the DOT chart. I think that alleviates Brian's concern.
Move to approve with that amendment.
Second.
Jason, Brian. Further discussion?
Wait, if I more reading.
We'll pass the second one, then you can go talk about it.
Or restricting, restricting one, the first one, the restricting, however. Correct. Great. No, however, will stay, it's just Lincoln Way Highway, that very last sentence.
Unless someone objects, I propose that we strike the final reading.
Yeah, so on the,
Vote on the first.
so on the second reading, any other comment about what's included in the ordinance? Seeing none, Council, please vote. That is approved, which now you can discuss if it's appropriate to waive every.
I'll make a motion to waive the third reading of the ordinance.
I'll second.
Brian, discussion, seeing no discussion, you go ahead and vote.
Brian Nielsen,
Aye.
Barb Whitman, Jane Nielsen.
Aye.
Jason Simpson,
Aye.
Steve Guy,
Aye.
Andy Eric. Aye.
Okay, that is approved. Which takes us to D, ordinance number 1032, 2022-2023, an ordinance regarding new chapter 78 in the ATV UTV. So I'm going to have a card for that.
Actually, it was changed too on that. You want to do that first? Or you want to- Okay. So I noticed that in 7803 and 7808, there is still an operators of ATVs that are referenced last time. So, that is not part of the first reading, sorry, it's still in the version. So the proposed change that I got is 780410. I know there was lots of comments about the lights and visibility and whether or not this read correctly. So the proposal is to change and take the language to state code. And that reads so that we would just be replacing 780410 with the following language that ATVs and UTVs shall not be operated without a lighted headlight and tail light from sunset to sunrise. And at such other times when conditions of insufficient lighting to render clearly discernible persons and vehicles at a distance of 500 feet ahead. We obviously have something different, if this code section allows for that, but.
Move to approve with that.
You want to hear?
So we have first, all first,
She already covered it on me.
okay, so
So I think your language had 250 feet, and the state has 500. My thought is in town, you're not on a 55-mile-an-hour highway, so 250 feet seems more appropriate. Just a comment.
Yeah, originally that's what we had, so, the state code is 500 feet.
BB less.
Yeah.
So this code section is interesting because it allows for you to have something different than the state code, as long as it's not clearly inconsistent. So, I think we can take some of those things into consideration. I personally think it still makes sense to keep it the same.
Adding the word headlights to it.
It just mirrored what the state.
Yep.
Another public comment, we can go ahead and
Move to approve with the.
Dane, Jason, Dane, discussion. Two bars saying. You're good.
No, I was just like,
Vote. Okay, that is approved.
Also move the. Right, third reading.
Second. Jason, Dane, discussion. We will voice vote.
Brian Nielsen,
Aye.
Barb Whitman. Aye. Danny Nielsen.
Aye.
Jason Peterson,
Aye.
Steve Guy,
I,
Andy Eric. Aye.
Okay, that is approved. Takes us to E, ordinance 1033, 2022, an ordinance amendment chapter 69, no parking, second reading. Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, council please vote. Okay, second reading is approved.
Would this be the time to bring up that email we have, Ryan, or we addressing that in-house, or? We had about the funeral parking only. We had about the old Ryan funeral home at the center. You asked if we could have the.
Signage removed from the street.
I think that is a good point.
No, but I mean, is this time bring that up, or is that being taken care of? That's the question, because we were talking about funeral parking.
Like, you mean telling our guys to actually go and do that?
No, I mean, could we address that? Have we talked to him, or we gonna do that? Is that already?
I'm really little beyond this street places.
That's a question of the intent.
Yeah. So there would be a third reading, and I just wanted to do anything. Yeah.
I move away the third reading. Ordinance. 1033.
I'll second that.
Ryan, Steve, discussion on that. Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote.
Brian Nielsen.
Aye.
Barb Whitman. Aye. Danny Nielsen.
Aye.
Jason Peterson,
Aye.
Steve Guy,
I,
Andy Eric. Aye.
Okay, that is approved. Takes us to new business. New business A, approved new class C liquor license for Melissa Fly, DBA Camelot Theater Foundation, 11146 Street, effective September 19th, 2022. Move to approve.
Second.
Same discussion.
concerned with that part.
Still allow them to do what they need to do this week.
Seeing no discussion, council please vote. That's approved. This is the B presentation request for funding on behalf of the Camelot Theater Foundation and appropriate follow.
City Council, Dave Sly, 603 T Avenue, and I'm one of the board members of the Camelot Theater Foundation, our vice president of the foundation. So we just want to give a quick update and have a quick update and an ask. So as you know, we have acquired the theater, we formed the LLC, that the nonprofit to operate the theater and to get it restored. As you know from our plan, we would be leasing the theater out to an operator, both for the entertainment section as well as the restaurant section once that's completed. And of course, the 2 apartments upstairs. Our number one objective, aside from what we've accomplished, getting the theater acquired and the nonprofit formed was to keep water on the building. That was our biggest goal because of course, we were really at risk of losing the facility due to water damage. And I'm very happy to report that all that work has been completed. We have fixed the roof, we've moved the AC units. It's really been a community effort. If you follow the news online, we've also repaired the drainage and water problems on the marquee, which were causing extensive damage, not just to our building, but to the two buildings next to us. And we've actually gone ahead and replaced, as promised, the damage to Al Copeland's front of his building. And in exchange, Al has offered to provide the LLC for free the building to the north, which is critical for our work to expand the lobby into the bistro wine bar area. Which takes us to one of the next big projects that we're on, which is to put a roof, essentially a structural roof on top of that building all the way to the alley, which means that we'll be replacing the temporary roof that was put up for the Harmony Closet Garage. So this is essentially a kind of a triple purpose. It protects the building that's to the front. It creates the roof for the Harmony Closet so that they have a nice secure, dry area to work, and it forms the basis of the patio bar, which has been a really popular addition to this project. So that is really the next phase. We received $100,000 to kickstart that phase. We're expecting costs around $400,000, but to be completely honest, we don't have any formal bids yet. We're just now starting that, thanks to the efforts of Jeff Harris. In addition, we are, as you know, the last piece of the keep water out of the building effort was the window restoration. You've seen the great work we've done on the facade. The tech pointing is what we'll call phase one of the tech pointing is near complete. The bad bricks have been replaced, which is also helping us with water and damage issues. And what you're seeing happening right now is some steel replacement for the structure that's above the windows that's actually occurring even as we speak, because the steel is rusted, and that's why some of the bricks were starting to fall down. So that structural steel is being replaced. The window project is next. You know, we've got a campaign for that. We've received a third of what we expect the window replacement to cost, and we're very happy and on our way to complete that window replacement. So in addition to the window project, which is currently ongoing, which we have locally funded, we are restoring the upstairs apartments. We received a $200,000 grant for that work, which we believe will be sufficient to meet the need of that. We have a group specifically working on it, and thanks to Ray's efforts, we've also got a great plan for the beach sprinkler system, which we think is going to be cost effective and meets the egress needs of that facility. So that's exciting news. So we do, and that project also has to be completed in 22 months or we lose that money. So we are rapidly working on that. The $100,000 grant that we have to kick off the patio bar project and the roof for the Harmony Closet Garage. Like I said, that's about a $400,000 project that also has to be completed in the next 22 months. So we're actively working on that. And that's one reason why we're here for you today. The city has graciously helped us get this project started to save the building, which we've done, turning it from a potential liability of the community to a real key part of our downtown district, which I think is not just a visible structural element, but also an entertainment element that can really help drive a lot of traffic. It also helps us bring it from something that we may have to have future liabilities or payments on to an operating facility that can be self-sustaining, which I think is we all want to see financially self-sustaining building. But to accomplish that objective, obviously we need more funding to get us to that second phase, and what we're asking is to see if the city can help us with a $30,000 a year commitment for 4 years to help us really solidify this next stage of the project where we are building the roof over the Harmony Closet and moving into the phase where we're expanding the lobby into the building gifted by Alcoa. That's the presentation that we have for you today.
For questions from council?
Yes, I'm curious, Dave, thank you very much, and I think you've accomplished a lot, it's really exciting project. I'm curious about what are the private fundraising plans?
Yes, I'd be happy to answer that. So we received $556,000 to date. We expect the project's a $2 million project. So we have a little ways to go, although as I mentioned, some of the critical key elements are already being secured under the 556, so that's good. So we have received that, about $360,000 is in the form of grants. 196,630 is the form of contributions and pledges. In addition, we have another $30,000 worth of grants that we applied for, which we think is likely that we'll be able to receive. So what we're really looking at with a $2 million project would be a total commitment from the city of Nevada of around 6% to 7% of the total project cost. Keeping this about the 93-94% privately and grant funded activity, which is something we feel is important.
So are you guys doing a capital campaign or just
Yes.
reaching out privately or?
So at the moment,
Kind of the same thing.
yeah, there are phases, and I'll have to admit, this isn't my field, but from what I'm hearing, that, the first phase was, well, first of all, the first phase was, to secure the facility, and we had, mostly that was private, all the city of Nevada, and then Nevada Economic Development Commission helped for about half of that, just building acquisition, and then there were 2 private significant donors, myself, wife, and another family. But the next big tranche of the money, which is what we've used to secure the building, a lot of that's been private from Burke Foundation, State Bank, and a whole bunch of other what we would call corporate donors. And that's the focus of the campaign right now. We're trying to solidify the corporate donors for the program over multi-year commitments. We are just now actually with this weekend. We hope to see everyone there on October 1st, Saturday night, for a great entertainment. Local Chris Patterson and his band, and kicking off the phase where we're really now reaching out to the community. Now that we've made a visible commitment to the building, people are seeing things happening. They're seeing what the building looked like back in 1927. We think this is really where we needed to get to before we could get the community, to really buy into the program. So we are actively now kicking off what we would call more of our general campaign to the community. But we're still finishing up corporate fundraising, so there's a little overlap going on right now. But I think we believe the corporate fundraising should solidify the expected 100 to 120,000 needed to restore the windows, which is the approach we've chosen to go by as opposed to replace them. We really, the windows are restorable, which is great. We're very lucky to have that because a lot of these old buildings, they aren't. And we think it really, those windows, the style and the look of them is just very hard to replicate today. And so we're going with that option, even though it's a little more.
Council.
Thank you for this option.
Like to do.
Before.
Yes, sir. So your pleasure, question for.
Yeah, so obviously we could have started the budgets for a year. You're just during this year budget already. That we showing next year is probably. Decided to do it.
Or an amendment, but
Unless we did.
I defer to Karen on that.
Where we are. So we almost have to put next year's budget. Like you made an amendment, but that's kind of weird.
We do have a little bit budgeted for downtown, but it depends on all the other projects that we've committed to already come in. We could be over. They get done. That's for their commitment that we've done.
I was gonna say I'd be more comfortable doing a match, but some of it, some of it, something that would be. Because they would come ask it about doing your due diligence. I gotta ruin my bag on that argument.
I probably can't vote on this since I'm on the Camelot board. Or make a motion, but it's really important that the city supports this project. When you guys think about it, this slides, and all the other folks on the Camelot board have stepped up and bought this building and continue to deteriorate and eventually return it to a situation where the city has to acquire it, the city has to tear it down. it was going the wrong way in a hurry. So if you look at what these folks have done, they have really basically saved that building, saved the city a lot of liability for that building. And are turning it into what will be the crown jewel of the downtown district. And, you know, part of our downtown renaissance is that we need things to attract people, so that people come downtown and shop and spend, keep restaurants and do all the good things we want to do in the downtown district. Scandalize, piece of that. So I feel very strongly the city to support this project. I don't think the ask is unreasonable. If you look at the total cost of the project. I know the city did make a contribution before. It was absolutely necessary at that time too, to get the deal done. The group has gotten into it, they have a little better idea of kind of where we're at, where the project's going. Yeah, it's not just the city they're reaching out to, they're reaching out to basically every group and organization in town, as well as the county, searching for all sorts of grants throughout the state. No stone, like in terms of fundraising, all things. 6 or 7% chunk of the total budget.
Thanks, Dave, for providing additional information. I think that extra background is helpful, and I know in the email too, and I think council probably saw the intent to apply for a CAT grant, which would require that, at least at that point, the application of it would be competitive percentage-wise in that process. The same can probably speak better to, which also requires county support now.
Yeah.
Main reason I'd be in favor of doing it, because of this way. Private.
Well, I appreciate knowing more about, we always have to look at what is the private sector doing in every project, and we've got a lot of great support in place, and that you're working on that, so I would make the motion that we approve the request.
That's second.
Thank you, Brian. I think you hit on a key point. I think that's helpful because to get for this project to truly be successful, we're going to take the buy-in of the whole community and the private sector and the residents. And so, applaud you for starting down that path.
I would pile on Steve's comments a little bit. You know, when the tile factory opened, that kind of upped the game on Main Street a little bit. You brought a lot, there got a lot of people. I think this is gonna be the next level. I mean, it's gonna go even above that. I love the layout, by the way, that you sent us. Thanks for that. It helps you get the vision a little bit of, even if it is just on paper, you know, gives you an idea of seating and the bistro thing, and I just kind of excited about that. I think we could potentially just have an influx of people come to downtown with a bistro and being able to have shows and dance recitals, and I mean, I think it's kind of endless what we can do in there. So, yeah, this is pretty exciting. This is good money well spent for the city.
Anything else? Seeing none, House, please vote.
Be in agreement.
To be clear, but draft an agreement. So you have to vote on the. Okay. So with that, moves the report.
One more thing, we probably need to figure out if we're gonna try to make it amendment on the budget, or we'll leave it good until next year. So we probably need to figure that out too.
When will the CAT application be made?
I think it's the next year.
For 23.
Yeah.
23.
They have a certain application window. I don't know what that would be. Brenda might know, but
So the first one will open up January 15th, and then there'll be one in July. So they're actually going back to a two cycle, so. But I don't know that they'll reserve half the money for the second cycle, so.
Just something to kind of keep in mind.
So I don't know what processes we need to do. See where we're at, off the committee, the budget committee needs to meet. And see if we can do an amendment or we could do years whatever for next year.
And it sounds like what Karen said is there's money in the current budget, but if the other projects finish up, then we have to do an amendment.
Yeah, so now we'll have to play it by ear. That decision will probably have to be made a little bit later on. We'll have to make this decision before we do everything with the budget.
Yeah, because if we have an agreement, we're gonna kind of have to have in there, timeline to pay out, right? So. I'm proud of that. I know it's probably fair out. Basically.
I mean, you could have the payment schedule in there. And the budget amendment can happen later, I mean, as we determine whether we have the funds there. Or we don't.
Okay.
But absolutely, we'll have to have payment schedule. in there.
You can also budget this for have the funds come in for in July, the budget support for the tax. Well. Well, that was a little bit different because we had a big chunk of that was our reserves for the city. Our biggest piece was county and some in this local stuff, communities and school systems. So ours looked a little, our component was a little bit different. And we'll just have to work around some of those.
We move to reports.
All right, just a lot of our regular scheduled meetings, third week's always heavy with, our morning meetings, that was, another good week, but this week, few of us, I think the mayor as well, will be headed over to Waterloo for a fall conference. And working hopefully a lot more leadership and economic development stuff, which I believe that they are hearing about more on leadership and diversity as well. So other than that, you guys have my report. If you have any questions, I would be happy.
Reports, one thing I wanted to bring up is the community coffee and the future of in-person coffees. And see what council's feelings are about that. Obviously, we have a core group of community members that are going to enjoy it, but we also sustain it. I think we need to have commitment from all of you to rotate months through that. So I wanted to put the ball in council's court to determine if you want that to be a priority or switching to more of the online staff presentation type replacement.
I guess personally, I thought the online was much more effective and more meaningful. We had really great information. We had a lot more people that participated. So that would be my sense. The last couple of I mean, it's great to get people, but not really, I don't see that great benefit.
Another option would be to do a quarterly in person. Back off the monthly, but so keep it.
Could be a reasonable compromise.
This will try to
I think we'll agree with that way.
Did we do any online virtual ones after things reopened up? That we were kind of operating back at the time. Here's what it would look like. There's even the virtual ones that I was a part of, we only did 2 or 3. That would have been June, July, and August, I think. Yeah, 20 and then we got back into. I can track that.
I think it's more effective as we had an issue. So maybe we had an issue with an expert.
And that's what staff has planned, which I think Andy's right. I think that would get good use, especially because people can click into it and watch it whenever they want.
And they're recorded, you get the information. I mean, I'm not opposed, I can go chat it up with something too, but. Seems like I'm in the same old thing.
But season members for quarterly. So we did. September, October is already been published, we will need a volunteer for October. And then that would probably be this quarter. First half of the first year for the next. Do we have anybody that wants to sign up for October 8th?
I'm from Navy.
What you said?
What's the timing related to what's happening? Yeah, the entire capital.
The same. No. Last election cycle, it was an hour after, but there's a. this thing on the side.
Schedule is weekly down until the election.
Ours has been published in the part of data, so the time is. 9 o'clock. Okay. So, yeah, Jason for October 8th. And maybe Dan. Then. We'll have to prompt ourselves for the 14th of January, but then we're gonna do the first month of the report. This will be here for
We can, with an agenda, even though it's
Good.
not being recorded and stuff. Yeah,
Maybe it's an update on all these building projects, and it's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
yeah. and we can-
How we felt average, such things as the camera.
We have that covered, and then we'll follow back up on January's like this close. Okay. So then the other question I had this week and wanted to make sure I gave an answer that you all agree with, was about staff reports verbally at meetings, if you felt it was important for department heads to come. I said I thought so, but I wanted to make sure I was on an hour or so.
Well, currently what we do is we have them turn in reports. And then, they don't necessarily need to come to the first one, some of them do, but mandatory for the second. We can keep going at it that way, or if you want to do half, come to the first, half, come to the second. We just wanted to double check, so we're just looking over things that on the agenda. Make updates when they need to be here.
My answer was, at one point, they did still have that. And then they moved on, so I mean, I didn't have a preference personally between which one they come to. At one time, they came to all of them, I started, and then I have them now. There's been a lot.
Typically, there's an agenda item that's impacts the.
Yeah, to me, that's the most important thing. There's an item that's related to their work that we hear from that.
Yeah, I don't need to know that Harold needs to come and say, I ain't got nothing. You know, I mean, really. But I think you're being here once in a while.
I just think of all the time Brian, they're like, what is that one spot and ask questions about what you're gonna come down. We're like, I figured you'd tell me that you want to know these months, well, I think that.
But I mean, like, when I was in the big company, if tonight he doesn't have anything, he wouldn't have come. Maybe next week. Well, pick third, so pick third.
I guess if I'd like to see him come to this one.
I agree. Right, that's where I'm getting at, you know. You know, it's just like, don't say you got it first week. I mean, saying, and but if they don't have enough for 2 meetings in a row, so be it. Then you get to tell me you don't have enough. So I can all say that for now. I don't really want people to guess.
I'm already texting them all right now, so I can receive the.
Yeah, they're all gonna say it's in my report. They got this one.
Yeah.
Any comment? Okay, so that'll close my reports and move on to council reports. Oh, and Ken should talk about our public art, that is really exciting.
Well, we just had a meeting before this meeting to discuss a community project. So working on a public art activity, a sculpture actually that will be placed near the butterfly garden as Kiwanis's project out by the trail. So involving Park and Rec, Kiwanis, and then we discovered we have a local artist who is doing projects in other communities, so we're happy to have Kelsey Wilson working with us on, she's been in design and we're making it happen, but the very cool thing is it's not just the sculpture, it will have animation, so. Maybe kind of a destination, I think, when we get it all put together, but yeah, I'm excited about that. Being a good memorial to my husband.
Council reports. Okay, move on to staff.
Water superintendent. Last week we got the new motor put in well number 6. It's back up and running. We also had utility services here. We drained the plant tower. They cleaned it out. There were no problems with it. Tomorrow we'll start draining the 8th Street tower. They'll come back Thursday or Wednesday, clean that one out. And other than that, just keep busy with that. I'll be starting to flush hydrants now. There any questions?
Thank you. Harold. Oh, I'm gonna add to this, right?
I don't have a whole lot for you, but we did have a second power pump go down, and that's been pulled, they think for repairs, it's only 13 months old, it should be covered for 20. Only other issue we had is we had some underground wiring go bad to one of our clarifiers, we had to do some revamping in the system, we disconnected the outlets, lines on that clarifier, and we used those wires to run our motors, so we can clear the fire mechanism stay running. Other than that, just daily monitoring and observation, less. Thank you. I'll see you guys got a question.
Thank you. Right.
I got nothing, no. Over. Numbers. 14 will be our other linguistic content. Get around the school. I think we're part of it, but, and then, we can have public art. There was some transitions. Pretty impressive, she did great.
Fire station.
But I'm gonna pass an opportunity to speak for my.
Hold on.
I have a really exciting, library. So, a movement has been happening in public libraries all across the country, for several years now, eliminating late fines, because they inevitably create a barrier to access for some people. And so, when COVID hit, Nevada Public Library took fines out so that people could have items for extended periods without having to worry about late fines. And we had never started charging fines again. And so I know this was something Shanna, the former director, had proposed to go permanent. And the board approved it at their last meeting. So the big reasons why we are eliminating late fines is because it does create more equitable access for everybody. Numerous studies all across the country have shown that the people late fines affect are the people who most need access. And the people who struggle to pay those late fines the most. And so, many libraries across the country have been doing this as well, and Chicago Public Library is a big one that this happened to, and they found, let me double check my numbers here, a 240% increase in book returns. So what happens is people check out items and then they're afraid to get charged those late fines that they won't be able to pay. So they just keep the books and never go back to the library and think their problem is solved. And so when CPL went to this, they had a 240% increase in some of those long lost books being returned. And then there's also been no evidence ever that supports the idea that charging late fines encourages people to bring things back on time. Late fines are, I think we charge 15 cents a book, or 15 cents per day per item. And it was kind of an arbitrary number, and the people who can afford it are just like, oh well, I'll just pay 30 cents and return it when it's convenient. And the people who can't afford it are those people who then stress over their kids, and parents are now being charged for their kids' items or they can't afford it. And so we're really excited to go fine free. We will still charge late fines on hot spots because those items are very highly sought after. And returning those on time is really important because those people who don't have internet access. And it's a lot of times, parents, rural families who their kids need those hotspots for internet access to do their homework. So we're keeping the late fines on those to encourage that return, so that way they can get to the next person right away. And that late fine is a little bit higher, so it does have a little more extra incentive for people to return those on time. And then we are still, of course, charging for materials that never get returned to the library. So people do get charged replacement fees and then a $3 processing fee, which covers all the materials that we use to process the book to get it ready to check out, as well as staff time. And then we have created a new system of notifications for people who have overdue items, and then a material recovery partnership. So we will be working with Unique Material Recovery Services, who works with libraries all around. It's like a collection agency, but not quite. So they have a lot more resources to find and get a hold of people with these long life items so that they do get returned. And so we really beefed up our plan, I guess, for notifications of things that haven't been returned so that we can recover those items, because ultimately the library is not really about, trying to create a revenue stream. We're really just about having the materials returned to us so other people can check those out. We were one of only 2 libraries out of 11 in the county who still charged late fines, and hundreds across the state are going fine free. the ALA has actually, the American Library Association actually put out a resolution about 4 years ago now that discouraged late fines for materials. And then the State Library of Iowa has not actually put anything out discouraging it, but they are taking, they're taking note of who does and who doesn't charge fines. And so that is something that they have a vested interest in, I guess. And so we are going to kind of do a big hurrah in November and try to get back as many old books as we can and see who's got the oldest book from the Nevada Public Library still at home. We're hoping to get some press coverage because a lot of the libraries who have been doing this, it's become about the positive buzz, really, that gets created, so that way patrons can return to the library, and utilize the library again. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or discuss any concerns any of you may have. Awesome, thanks.
Brenda.
I don't know why when I was waiting out there and all of a sudden. Library fees. After a long day, kind of. So, I think that's great. A couple things for council tonight. We're excited. You might remember flashback a few months ago. You guys are always tuning through a lot of business. So, we entertained a request for some support as well as application support for a workforce housing tax credit application. And so we found out late last week that it was approved. And so we're very excited that 7 units of housing. The neat thing about the project is they're 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We've got a lot of different sort of. I'm very excited about this. Now, standing from the army. From there. Share that good news with the public. Your support with keeping that we can't apply for those funds on behalf of projects without the support of that's good news. For years, Story County was really excellent. Because we're a very populous county, and I was just talking about this. Sometimes we lose out on opportunities because we have a large metro community. But so this is one of the first ones ever, the first one in Nevada, really one of the first really for the whole county, because we just became to apply. The other thing I want to share with you tonight is our inaugural copy of the investor newsletter for the NEDC. And as you know, NEDC, while we collect close to $60,000 in private sector donations, we couldn't do it without the support of the community. So the city council is our largest. And so it's important that you also all get a copy of the investor newsletter. So the lead story is really about the work we're doing to hotel, hotels in the community and trying to push that out and get that in front of as many eyes as possible. And also draw your attention, we have set the date for the joint on Nevada Main Street. Leadership data graduation in the annual meeting, and that is set for November 10th gathering. So that on your schedule, that's a fun evening for all of us. So, any questions? We'll be setting up our registration one time. Okay. Thank you again.
If you've been out past store, you see. So that's exciting. We've got crews out there. See progress continue. Couple other things for the field house, we're working on the middle, or the piece of the field house, we're gonna push that out over the next day or two. So, hopefully we'll be successful, but time will tell. We have a construction meeting Wednesday, meetings have been going really well, project's moving along as it should be, so. The Other things we've been working on, we have some more purchase items throughout this project. One of those is registration facility reservation software. So that we can hopefully become a little more techy as we move into this new facility. So we're doing some demos on that, starting to meet with some furniture suppliers, et cetera. So a lot of things going on with the field house. Other things that we've been working on, the DNR was here this afternoon, we stopped 100 catfish in the ponds at school, they gave them both and catfish, so. That was part of Ryan West's Eagle Scout project, so it's nice to see the cooperation there and the support from the DNR, and Ryan got to be a part of that this afternoon as well. We have the SRF sponsored project still going on, we have a meeting in a couple of weeks with Howard Arthur for 30% completion on that, so they're diligently working on that as well. And I'll be meeting Gary Martin this week as we try and get the Saturday Park shelter issue resolved and get that project done. So other than that, you'll see our staff out spraying Park Cemetery and various city properties for weed control. So along with just a lot of post summer maintenance. Thanks a lot. Questions? Thank you.
Ryan?
Good evening. Yeah, quite a few permits turned in past 2 weeks, so I see things still rolling in. Next city council meeting, we'll have 3 rezonings in front of you guys, as well as 2 variances. So, busy week. Story County Hospital, we did their review, part of it today for the new addition out there, so that's going along pretty well and moving pretty quickly. So, any questions? Perfect. Thank you guys.
Evening. Just have a couple quick things. We did probably need more enforcement on the road back a couple weeks. We had a couple traffic projects we were doing with other agencies that last Monday. We did that, so, and then the only other thing I have is we don't have any news on these one. Still waiting on call. Is there any questions for me? Okay.
Karen?
Just, you're not for budget, working on the budget docs, and put it out to department heads this week. The first council budget committee will be, the second meeting in October, that's what we're planning for, second one after, yeah. Working on year-end reports, all the late reports that are due at the year-end, but those around.
Karen?
I did.
That closes that report. We do have an item about discussion for recall regarding Baker's Social 536 4th Street. So we've asked for, but logistically on that, do we have staff provide updates to the property owner and open session or? Yep. And then we're going to close after that.
Yep.
I'll make sure I have that. So we'll move forward and open up that agenda item on Baker's Building 536 4th Street. Maybe a staff layout and update, and then provide building owner an opportunity to provide input as well.
Greg Reynolds here, Fire Chief. So if you recall, on April 29th, 2021, Town of Bay was the property at 466. And then within 50 days from the So that was really important, just a couple of reasons. Grace period. One of the things that Mr. McVeigh has been doing. Is I will tell you that not all of the charting was on. Some of the issues. One about really most of the time. Yeah. So. So that was the reason the engineer wanted to think about this. There are some other things that the engineering. And if you just look at the engineer's report on the 20th of November, he said water replacement. We did say that all of the air ducts had minor water damage, some pipe. Still it's in the and so step 3, they said they had they wanted the entire front porch removed and replaced that. He does not want to take the front porch off. In fact, his recommendation was that he just put boards adjacent to the front. The argument is number 4 was to remove all studs, header joists, and rafters that show visible charring and replace them. They talked about potentially putting on studs. There's a number of places where they take it. Yeah, there's no there's some very so there's some efforts to do that. Actually, there's a couple of rooms you can see in there. What he had done is he had wiped off. The argument. The condition is still there, there's just some fact. There's a recommendation recommendation that all of the plastic sheet electrical wires that are exposed in concealed spaces and walls above the basement need to be removed. Mr. McVeigh indicated that he did not believe that all the electrical wiring needed to be removed and that he was willing to remove some knob and tube wiring that was old anyway. There's some outlets in the living room where majority of the fire was at that clearly need to be replaced, and he was willing to do that. However, he does not feel that he wants to remove all of it because it would take the project to a level that he's not prepared to do at this point. He did say that he has been trying to contact an electrician, but right now, with everybody busy, that they're 90 days out from even looking at his property. The windows, most of the windows have been replaced. There's a couple of windows that still have heat damage and cracks in them. And there was just a number of places that still have charring and soot and still in there. And then that I guess the biggest issues are, Mr. McVeigh believes that the engineer's report does not need to be followed, that he can remediate this stuff. It's a beautiful house. It's got and some real concerns about just covering the outside structure with the city. And certainly not certainly. To be a little upset. I know it's going to be disclosed or should be disclosed. So we he has this here. He indicated taking the conversation. So that's you want livable? I think it could be livable. I just we've been sitting there a long time. So what could be done? Here. So that's the big.
You're right.
Time flies. My work has been incredibly busy, and then there's a number of things I've been hoping to get done in the last year that have not done. And I talked to Brad about working and doing some things there that, you know, he was gonna help with, especially that kind of. You know, I've got the capability to do it myself without any problem. I've owned over 20 houses in this town. I've renovated multiples. And I'm comfortable with the work that's at hand. Ryan and both Ryan and Ray were kind enough to come over and take a look at what we're done. We've got water service in place. We've got the pressure test on the gas line going to the furnace has been inspected. The water heater's taken care of, you know, we're well on our way to getting things done. And the timing factor is like everything else, you just can't find. You know, you need an electrician to get power to start the work, and I've given up on the electrician in the time frame. I went ahead and got a generator, I'm working off a generator now, that's been, you know, functional, but, you know, we've got. That's one of the problems that we've got at hand, is, you know, getting somebody lined up. I've been working with Ryan and keeping him abreast as to what I'm doing, and before and after pictures of things I've done in the last, you know, month for sure. And I believe that if we continue on, you know, Ryan and I will be able to work together and provide documented, you know, progress that will be logical. You know, like everything else, there's been delays, COVID related or otherwise. You know, the water treatment plant is behind the schedule slightly, and you know, that's, all this stuff has been essentially the norm. And I'm hoping that we can, you know, move ahead. And I'm optimistic that we'll be able to get it completed and make everybody happy, Ray in particular, and Ryan as well. You know, the fire damage, the majority of all the charring has been completely removed, and the residual strips on down the side of the windows will be taken care of, you know, as soon as possible. But I have not been cutting corners. I don't believe Ray feels that I'm covering anything up besides, you know, potentially the outside. I do have pictures of the outside prior to me putting the siding on. It shows that it had been removed and the condition of the material before I put it back. So I'll be happy to give those pictures to Ray and he can review them as well. So I'm optimistic we can continue on. I've got materials, I've got water, running water in place, sewer in place, all that stuff. And it's just a matter of, you know, getting this done. And as my season slows down, I work construction, so you know, we were involved with the demolition of the academy grounds, if you can imagine. And you know, what should have been like a month-long project turned into about a 3-month project because we kept finding buildings underneath buildings. And that's a time frame that, you know, when you were hoping for some time to, you know, take off, and the next thing you know, you gotta be working another 5 days to get, you know, down to the next level, which is, so a lot of things have come in. It's been experience, and I hope you're willing to, you know, give me an opportunity to finish this up. And, you know, I did have, Ryan was kind enough to come over and take a look, and I think, you know, do you have a few things you want to talk about, or?
I can.
I would love to have you come up and express your opinion. I think we're on the right track. We just need to coordinate and get things rolling the way they need to be rolling. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. I think the update and communication is very important.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part of skill. I've been so busy that when I get done working at 6 o'clock, and I think it's or 7 or 8. Anyway, we will be working with Brian, and I'm optimistic that, you know,
I've got a question.
yes,
So in the last, in 3 days from now, it'll be 17 months that we gave you a resolution to give us some updates within 60 days. That didn't require an electrician to come visit you. It didn't require a whole lot of your time, other than to make some phone calls to people, a structural engineer to come inspect it. You didn't do that. And didn't give us a reason why. You didn't need it.
well, I've had the structural engineer, yes.
Then you also had 60 days to get a fire restoration company to come out and at least inspect it, to give you a report. And you didn't neither of those.
We did have Clean Air Comfort come in, which is a fire restoration company that is certified in the state of Iowa to come take a look at it, which.
And where's that report?
Report.
Where's that report?
I think Ray's got a copy of it.
I have never heard of it.
Well, yeah, actually, if you look at the resolution, those were submitted. That was from that was the other orders. So we did actually get those. Yeah, it was really, if you look at the bottom of the resolution where we talk about number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those were the obligations. So the compliance was that you comply with the recommendation of the boards
Oh,
that we received.
and we haven't done any of that.
Correct. So those are the problems that we have not seen.
Well, there's an issue with communicating, having it two ways instead of just one. I understand we all get busy, I get it, I'm extremely busy.
Yeah.
But. Boy, that got to prove.
Well, I'm a little concerned that- I'm a little concerned that you haven't even been keeping up the property like outdoors, you know, mowing the yard kind of stuff. I mean, are you going to?
Absolutely. The mower broke down that I have, and I ordered parts and they had not come in yet. I went by and sent me a friendly notice. And, you know, the spindle bearing was actually broken on my John Deere, and I had to order it, and it took a time to get to it, and I will be on top of this. 110%. And I'm willing to work with Ryan and Ray both in the city council as needed. But I think, you know, I put a substantial amount of time and effort into this so far. On the inside, visually, it may not be noticed, but, you know, I'd be happy to walk anyone through the house at any time. Ryan called up and wanted to take a look at it, just out of the blue. He said, hey, I saw you over there. I'd like to take a look at it. I'd already gone back to Ames to do my work over there. I thought about it. I said, call Brian back up. I said, Brian, when can you meet me? And we met approximately half hour after he cold called me to come take a look at it. And I don't believe there's anything that I was hiding or, you know, there's progress being made. It's just visually, it's not, you know, available outside. And I will, you know, give 110% to keep that exterior, you know, appropriate.
So what's the reasoning behind not changing the wiring? Because I mean, you could have some thinned out wiring insulation and not even realize that behind the wall, because you're not taking the wall out to protect those wires.
The reality of the wiring is it's original knob and tube. And that needs to be replaced. I mean, it doesn't need to be, but
Whole house, all out too.
knob and tube for the lights on the first floor only. And they actually, I was showing Ryan, you know, what I found. I can identify it, I can inspect it, I just can't fix it. So what Ryan and I are going to put together is a proposal of how to address that. All the wiring will be approved. There's no desire for me to sleep at night waiting for the phone call to come in that some of my tenants or somebody who bought that property is in a serious way.
Okay.
And the wiring that was, the house had been originally rewired. It had a remodel done approximately 10 years ago, maybe somewhere there, you know, 10 to 15 years. And they
Right
wanted,
before it burned.
what?
Right before it burned.
No,
Burned.
it was 10 years ago. I don't know exactly when it was, but there's evidence of a renovation. And there's new wire brought up to the second floor, and all the upstairs wiring has been completely redone already. It's not on the knob and tube. And with that, we inspected it. I showed Ryan what I had found. And those bedrooms, the fire was in the front porch, the heat came up the steps, but it didn't get into the actual bedrooms. We found, you know, the paneling, there's smoke damage up there, but not heat, not the extent that, you know, could damage the wiring. But I want to have that inspected by a licensed electrician to make that judgment call. And I will not, you know, he needs to sign off before this, you know, before Alliant Energy will even hook it up. But that's just not an issue. The Alliant Energy has to be happy with the wiring and the report from the electrician prior to them even hanging a meter.
I just, 17 months. The electrician's 90 days out,
Yeah,
and you're still 14 months out.
and life goes on. I mean, I drive a dump truck and I don't have a cell phone that I can't particularly be making calls as I'm going down the road. And that's part of my life, you know, it's a demanding thing where you're, you know, literally turn after turn after turn, you barely have time to make a phone call, let alone, you know, turn the steering wheel. So, you know, Brian and I are coming up with a plan, and I'm optimistic that we should be able to get this done without any problems.
I think the problem with the council is commenting on is it's been a lot of excuses over a very long period of time. We've tried to give you communication and tell you exactly what the council wanted to see, and we're not seeing any progress. And so I don't speak for the council, but I would certainly want to see a timeline if they're even gonna consider this. And we're all busy. I mean, I could say all day long, I don't have time to help people back, but I'd lose my job if I did that. So you've got to come up with the time and dedicate the time to get this project done, because the council's even gonna consider that.
Yeah, and Brian and I can do that.
So this number 3, the detailed. Do we have that here? Said he's fulfilled the inspection, the engineer, the fire code restoration. That's 2 of the 3.
Yeah,
The third one was a plan rehabilitation for the property within 60 days.
Ray, do you recall, I think it was written, I think you actually wrote the plan. It's not in this packet, but we did see a, like, it wasn't like a blueprint, Ryan, it was more like a list. Yeah, we considered that when we reconvened in July, we had made sure that we had those 360-day requirements were.
I just kind of feel like we're just watching the tape from a year ago. You stood up here and told us the exact same thing a year ago. I'm gonna take care of it, and take care of it. Yeah, we're busy and behind it a ton of there. I guarantee you, we're getting too many people much busier than me. But I still call the dentist and whoever I need to call, but. It just seems you've been, I mean, it's been 7 years. I mean, let's go back to that. 2015 was house burnt. Or when you got it, I don't remember. I haven't been back. I know 2015 is in here. A long time, and it's just last year we were guaranteed I'm on it. You know, we're gonna get it this time. Seems like that's the same speech we're hearing now. And I don't know that it's Ryan's job to help you do your plan. I mean, all I've heard here is Ryan and I are gonna do it. I mean, Ryan's a busy guy too, you know. Ryan are gonna do it, and I know Ryan will do what he can do to help anybody. That's how he is, but I don't know that it's his job to do it. I'm a little concerned about some of the things Ray said about how we want to do it, and to me, you're trying to cut corners. And I get it as a fiscal thing, you gotta make it economical for you to be able to make any money to sell it or rent it or whatever, but I don't know, I just thinking out loud.
All right.
Well, some of this discussion we'll have in closed session, too, but I think now we have to do that, ask questions and get the information on the table and. Try and do that comments, which make the comments here, right? So.
Yeah, and Brian, there's been plenty of work being done on the inside that you are not seeing.
Yeah, and Tom, I feel like the mowing thing is a big excuse. I've been sitting here thinking, well, my mower's broke, you know what, hire somebody. It's pretty easy, you know. You know, I feel like you didn't mow it or clean it up until Ryan put your feet to the fire just a month ago. What about the other 14 months? I mean, that's what I feel like you're doing just enough to get by. Just the bare minimum to get by. And I don't know, that's just how I feel about this. I don't know, I think that's just what I think, I guess.
There were multiple letters too asking for more information. We could have probably skipped the closed session last meeting and not had the one tonight. Have we had a response to those letters as well?
Yeah, and the letter I got, prior to the last meeting, I received Tuesday morning. I was out of town over the weekend and didn't get a chance to get my mail from the mailbox. I do apologize for that, because I would have been at that meeting as well. But
Well, the one letter regarding the last meeting was sent more than a month before that council. It was mailed on August 11th.
I don't know. I'm unaware of when I got received the letter, but.
Is that certified?
Which one? I'm sorry.
I know, I sent that in, that's our,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the data now, so.
And I believe that to be true, you know, there's a letter that I got. And I started following up with people and such, but it's. We'll turn this over to Ryan and. So I'm committed to getting this done, and there is work that's been done on the inside, it's visible. The house been pressure washed, it looks like any other house in the neighborhood. And the extra cleaning up that needs to be done, we'll get it done. And we'll continue with progress as we go. So. I'll turn it over to Ryan. Thank you.
So initially, taking a look at the house from the outside. It was run down, it was starting to be dilapidated, it was starting to go towards condemnable, right? After meeting with Todd, being able to go inside. There was some heat damage on the first floor that's been exposed, it's been brought to attention. The second story is the majority of it's smoke damage, and he's not wrong. Big thing that I noticed while taking the tour is upstairs. Because it was an older home to begin with, there's a lot of the laminate wall coverings, either wallpaper or the old wood paneling, things like that. That has been removed in a couple of the rooms, which you can see once removed, there's no smoke damage behind that, okay? There's a lot of little things that need to be cleaned up before sealed up, and I think that's why Todd has left them open in the time being, because he did want to show that he was trying to mitigate correctly. There's a lot of little things that do need to be buttoned up before the house is buttoned up. We have difference of opinion on the roof and where the charring is and things like that, and that's fine, that can be kind of hashed out. In the last 3 weeks that I've been talking to Todd, it's night and day difference. About how the house looks from the exterior, the effort put in on the interior. I can't speak to what was said, about the architect, what was agreed upon before, but with my time being here, I can say that from when I started talking to him until I'm talking to you guys today, there's been a drastic change. It's up to you guys whether you feel that that's enough to grant him more time. Brian, you're not wrong. It's not my job to babysit him on this, but we both know that I'll show up at 6 o'clock at night. I'll show up at 4:30 in the morning to check that progress. To me, the house isn't worth condemning. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It could be a beautiful house restored. It comes down to what you guys want to see and what you think needs to be done. So it's possible. Anything's possible, right? Let's be honest. It's gonna come down to the drive from Todd and mitigating these smoke issues. I know electric is a big one, and I think that's a very accurate concern. I also think that residual smoke damage is also a big concern. I think Ray is very knowledgeable in that and bringing up those points as he spoke before. So, like I said, there's things that have been done to show progress immediately. And there's possibility for follow through. So I'll do whatever you guys tell me. I'm fine with that. I'll pitch in my time. So.
And realistically, working with Brian, the sending the pictures seemed to work best.
Yep.
Because he just has an immediate before after. So he can keep that on his phone or, forward to his computer, whatever technology he's got to do.
Yeah, and those are those pictures that I've included in your packet. I think the big thing that will need to be decided is the timeline. To me personally, it's getting cold soon. The house needs to be buttoned up on the exterior. And then worked on interiorly. So with some of the stuff on the outside. Couple windows need to be repaired. The flashing. A little bit of roof repair, things like that, I think are important to see right away. So, interior work can be done at a little slower pace with more availability of time, things like that, so. Any questions or anything?
Ryan, I'm wondering about, the items on the second page of the resolution. Those checkpoints of the restoration project, are any of those? Do any of those remain as valid checkpoints? Or
I'll just kind of go over that one for you.
things?
Are you referring to the site observation of checkpoints?
So I'm on page.
Yeah.
I'm at item number 2, under the therefore it be resolved. Beyond, it's their actual resolution. Where we had provided based on raised initial report to us and.
You're talking about them too, like, where all the walls are stripped to the
No,
steps.
City at the bottom check restoration project. Yeah, they need to, any of those need to have.
So right, when you went in there and you were looking at these sandblasting. Does that apply to every single stud that had fire damage? Were all the walls that had fire damage stripped to the studs, and was all the electrical showing? So if you review.
No.
Okay. For all the charred rafters and floor joists, were they removed for visible inspection?
No.
For new electrical services, if they're installed and if there's documentation. Or was there any documentation from the state fire marshal that knew electrical was?
I don't believe there were any new that I could see.
There isn't new electrical yet, though, correct?
That's correct. No, he did point out some things that he would remove, and I think I've got pictures of the knob that's wiring and the wires hanging down.
Todd, have you had an option, maybe you brought this up. Have you reached out to all the electricians around the area to see if they can come in to see what needs to be replaced?
I have tried to get a hold of electricians, they're gonna get back to me. And so I've got a neighbor across the street who's retired. And I'm gonna try to get a hold, his wife gave me his phone number, his brother's phone number as well. I'm gonna try to get a hold of them, see if they can just come through and take a look as well. They'll have to be a licensed electrician, they'll sign off on it prior to it being hooked up. That's.
In your mind, that's step 1, though, correct? To doing any of this other work.
It's one of the steps, I would like it to be step 1, but I'm gonna do everything around it that I can, as far as repairs and maintenance.
Well, in order for step 1 to apply for your electrical, you have to rip off all your drywall and everything in order for it to be shown, so the electrician can actually look at it, and that hasn't been done yet. So you can't, step 1 can't even be completed without doing something else on this list, which hasn't been done.
The property was contained in the front porch. And the heat and the damage in the living room, the entire back part was smoke affected, and the upstairs was smoke affected with some heat. So. Taking down.
Would you be willing to let the council walk through your house?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think if you wanted to, probably walk through it. Well, I'm not an expert. I want an expert. That's the whole thing here. We want an expert to say that it's good to go. And I am not that. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think, Todd and I have a difference of opinion on how that fire was. I was there. So, it was a fire that was definitely fueled by flammable liquids throughout the living room and the front porch. There's substantial charring to the front porch and living room. There is heat damage throughout the first floor, and there was a lot of smoke, and the upstairs was black. So, there's cracks in the upstairs window from heat damage. So, we maintain a difference of opinion politely, that this is my.
Close that. Already found. Five, one, three, to discuss strategy of the council and matters that are subject to litigation. For whether litigation where exposure would be likely or prejudice to expand the position of government providing.
So the
Jason. Your discussion, council, please vote. And we will.
Now we gotta kick everybody out. So, sorry. You're welcome to stay there. Will likely be an action item after the work session, but otherwise I'll communicate with you.
Well,
Communicate. And you can email. Would you like to give that to me or?
I'll give you that. Yeah, and Ryan's done it.
If I can let you know.
Well, and that's fine, and so I'm optimistic. There's